Holy shit!
Hello YouTube, Mr. YouTube. Hello YouTube. Today, or 10 years ago, depending on when this video is releasing, I woke up to a ping from Kaiman. Apparently, I had gotten the TTC TikTok clock stage RTA world record while I was doing 70 star. Almost 3 months ago. For everyone that isn't familiar with stage RTA, let me explain real quick. For stage RTA, you time how fast you can finish a stage. So how fast you can collect every star. Timer starts when you select your first star and stops on star grab on the 7th star. Stage RTA is usually done with practice and resetting, like actual grinding. And people like to use game shortcodes as well. For example, having the lifetime counter or the in-game timer. Runners can use other game shortcodes too, as long as they don't affect lag, then they're banned, as stated on the speedrun.com rules. Now, as you can see, I didn't beat the stage RTA world record by much, but it's something, right? The run that I got that world record in ended with a 47.40. That TTC was a goal split, 347.4 or something, and shortly after that I got another run that was like a 48 with a 348 TTC, so like only 1 second off my best, and which is now the world record. It was really nice to see some consistency with newer strats, because I really struggled with getting a sub 350 TTC before, and my 46 from like a year ago only had like a 345 I think, which is just not too good at all. So my TTC got a couple major updates, but how exactly did it beat Ikori's stage RTA record? That's what we're gonna look at today. We're gonna compare each star individually, and before we do that though, we're gonna look at another stage RTA world record. I think that would be really nice, because that way we can examine some more different strats and even see where people lose time in TTC. Like, some stuff isn't really that obvious. Not every mistake is like a in-your-face kind of mistake. So let's have a look at Xia's, Xia's stage RTA world record from December 2016. Back then, Xayah was grinding single star and stage RTAs. He got some single star records in TTC, and before his stage RTA record in December, he also got a 334 TTC and then a 333, which were both world records at the time as well, showing some nutty consistency. And unlike other players, he started implementing single star strats in stage RTAs, like the moving bars ending. Having that angle and landing where he did is really hard and just so goddamn clean. Oh, and for rolling to the cage, he did this side flip into wall kicks on these moving platforms. Usually you see a triple jump up there instead, because the side flip is way too hard and inconsistent. Even nowadays, like 5 years later, no one does the cage strat or the moving bar strat in runs. And putting all of that into a stage RTA, he got a 329 TTC. To top it all off, he did moving reds as his last star. 2016, by the way. But he also had a bit of a mistake on the pit and the pendulum star, and as time moves on, some faster strats have been found. Still, you can see how much better Xayah's TTC was compared to everyone else's at the time. Now, a couple of years later, in early 2019, Japanese speedrunner Ikori also did some stage RTAs. That way he got some practice in for his 120 star speedruns, get better times, improve his movement. Obviously, he grinded TTC as it's one of the hardest stages in Mario 64's late game, and he managed to dethrone Xayah by 0.83 seconds. But how do you beat single star strats? Well, the answer is you don't. Unless there's a better single star strat. They're just so much harder to pull off, so people don't really practice them for runs. So usually they don't do them in stage RTAs unless they really have to beat a better time. Alright, let's start the comparison. Ikori's moving bus was really clean. Xayah did a slightly different beginning. This double jump dive onto the stairs is really risky, as you can easily bonk and die, but it is faster. Ikori didn't lose too much to that though. Xayah was able to long jump a couple frames sooner, but after getting up from the ledge grab, they're pretty much tied. Now with the single star ending, Xayah was pulling ahead. You can see the difference in camera. Ikori only has to hold up here, which makes his strat more consistent already. And considering where you land, it seems so much harder to do the single star ending. Ikori did pretty well keeping up though. After both finished with a firstie, Ikori is 0.3 seconds behind. A little disclaimer, I had to sync up their stars because they didn't have the same star order. For example, Xayah started with moving bars and Ikori with 100 coins, and my timing is as followed. It starts from first frame of movement to first X-Cam frame. Just so that we can compare the strats better and also see the mistakes more clear as well. That time loss on moving bars isn't too bad, but rolling to the cage is different. Xayah is already slightly faster in the beginning. After the triple jump he wall kicks 4 frames earlier. Which makes sense because you want to be slightly faster on the moving platforms for the side flip. And yeah, Ikori ends up losing a whole second because of Xayah's faster strat. He did make up some time on 100 coins though. In the beginning he jumped sooner to break the box and then clips onto the platform, whereas Xayah gets some air. This way, Ikori can start running faster and keeps his momentum from the wall kick. Then he gets less dust on the side flip before the 4th red, overall executing the red coin section a lot cleaner. Thanks to that, he's pulling ahead by a fair bit. Up until the blue coin switch he doesn't do any mistake and Xayah isn't able to catch up. Ikori ground pounds the blue coin switch 0.83 seconds faster. Now from here both play really well. There isn't anything major to talk about in the midsection, but I will note a couple small flaws. For example, right here? Xayah gets a bad angle on the side flip, so he has to get a bit of dust on the rollout to correct it, before he can speed kick. He makes up for it though, right afterwards by getting a better box break than Ikori. Now how does that happen, you wonder? Well, Ikori breaks the box by hitting it on the side. That way he keeps his ground pound animation when he hits the ground. So he's not immediately ready to double jump. It's better to break the box on top. There's small mistakes on both ends here, but neither of them really saves or loses anything in this section. Coming up, Ikori does have slightly different movement on these triangles, which is faster than what Xayah does. However, if you were to sync up the movement, you can tell Ikori loses time after the triangle section, because Xayah has much cleaner box breaks. From the ground pound on the blue coin switch to last box break, Xayah saves 6 frames overall. 6 frames isn't that noticeable though, compared to what Ikori saved earlier, and if we keep it synced like this, you can tell Ikori saves a lot of time on the star spawn. That is because he spawns it lower with a faster kick input. With bad RNG the coins could scatter everywhere, so it is riskier, but it makes the regrab faster. Xayah delays his kick a bit to go safer. Considering this is Xayah's 3rd star, it makes sense he doesn't wanna mess with RNG, whereas Ikori started out with this star. Ikori also saves more time by the US and JP tax difference on 100 coins. He only got 1 text box whereas Xayah got 2. Version differences, dude. Despite Xayah's mid-game being cleaner up until the star spawn, Ikori overall saved 0.66 seconds since the blue coin switch. On the ending though, Ikori loses 0.4 seconds. He didn't get the most optimal ending because of Thwomp RNG. Usually you want to wall kick off the Thwomp, but the Thwomp was just going up so that Ikori had to do the backup dive and side flip. Although this ending can be faster and I think it's a lot better for runs, Xayah did get better Thwomp RNG and ultimately saves some time. If we sync it up for shortly after the text boxes, you can clearly see Xayah's time save here. Now, to summarize all this information I've thrown at you. Ikori had better red coins, already pulling ahead in the beginning. Xayah caught up a bit in the midsection, but Ikori saved a lot of time on the star spawn plus text. And then lost time on the ending. Overall, Ikori saved slightly over a second on TTC 100. Pretty decent, but imagine if the Thwomp wasn't a douchebag. Alright, finally moving on. The pit and the pendulums. As you probably expected, Ikori did much better on this star than Xayah. By getting a clean ending, he saved another second, even slightly more than that. And with that time save, Ikori is finally ahead. Their get ahead was synced. Well, in terms of speed, Ikori didn't lose or gain anything, but a couple jumps were slightly different. And to finish it off, Ikori also did moving reds, also as his last star. Not too much to talk about here. They did do the same strat. The only real difference is the ending, because Xayah grabbed the first 2 reds first and Ikori at the end. I think it's better to grab them at the end. Don't quote me on that. Ultimately though, Ikori saves 1 frame. But that's with my timing, and since this is the last star for both, you have to go by star grab timing. Good for Ikori though. That way he saved 2 frames instead. If you were to go ham with movement, you could also look at the stage re-entries, and I did do that. They're also kinda important for stage RTA, but usually they're not very different. I'm sure y'all don't need to see all 5 stage re-entries, so y'all gotta trust me on this. Xayah was 0.16 seconds faster when re-entering and selecting the star. Note that all the timing that you can see right now does not include all the loading screens. I mostly wanted to show you that Ikori's run is overall really clean for the strats he did, and overall more consistent compared to Xia. Xayah, who had insane movement on most stars, but not all of them. But yeah, in the end, Ikori beat Xayah by 0.83 seconds. Now another 2.5 years later, May 2021, Ikori's run got beaten. By me. Apparently. But how did I beat Ikori's record? It looked really clean, right? So where are the time saves? Is there better movement? Maybe some better strats? Well, let's compare each star between Ikori's and my TTC as well. Honestly, looking at this, it's a little bit of a mystery on how I beat Ikori. But also not really. Ikori and I both started out with 100 coins in our TTC, so let's start our comparison there as well. As you could see already, my TTC was pretty bad. That mistake on the turn plus being a lot slower on the 4th red side flip, like there's a whole dust storm there, made me fall behind by quite a bit. But I implemented a different strat before the blue coin switch. Instead of that whole long jump speed kick fiasco, I triple jumped to the blue coin switch from a completely different position. That strat saves around 0.5 seconds, and I just got to implement that into runs this year. So it's fairly new for me, and I don't know if many other runners are doing it yet. I made up some time, but Ikori touched the blue coins 16 frames faster still. Now this time I won't sync the gameplay, as you will be able to see my time save in the midsection a lot easier than Xayah's. For a while, Ikori and I pretty much mirror our movement. Decent blue coins and triple jump. No one is really catching up or falling behind. We both have a really good side flip angle into speed kick too. However, I have the same time save on the box as Xayah. I break it on top and not on the side. Additionally, I see left after I input the ground pound for leg reduction, and I dive after the second wall kick, whereas Ikori didn't. After that box, I'm pretty close behind Ikori, and with slightly cleaner execution on the triangle platforms, we are pretty much tied. Coming up is another leg reduction. You go into Mario Cam while you break the box and collect the coins, and after that I'm actually ahead. Until Ikori gets a better star spawn. But then again, I was on 47 pace, so I really wanted to go a bit safer. Now the stars are spawning, and after the star spawns, Ikori is a couple of frames ahead. We're both on US, so I don't lose any time to text. And thanks for better Thwomp RNG, my 100 coins is actually faster by around 0.7 seconds. Imagine how much time I'd be ahead if I didn't have that awful beginning, and I also had a better star spawn too. Although for run I think that was a really good TTC 100. My pit and the pendulums also added a sort of newly found strat, the 8 down, where you do a speed jump out of a rollout right here. And it saves a bit of time over Ikori's strat. Although Ikori is a tiny bit faster in the beginning, I just pull ahead after the rollout. I didn't get the most optimal 8 down, but I still saved 0.5 seconds because Ikori hacked the wall at the end and didn't ground pound the star. Oh, for the beginning of the cage star, let me talk about this real quick. You can see I do a jump kick instead of a single jump, but overall it doesn't matter what you do, both is equally as fast. After landing on the moving platform, Ikori has much cleaner movement than me. First, he jumps off the platform sooner, then he has less dust on all his jumps, and has a much faster turn before the long jump, saving overall 0.2 seconds. It's crazy to see how much these tiny bits can add up. My get ahead was a couple frames slower because of the ending. I long jumped too early and didn't reach the star with my second long jump, so I lost another 0.2 seconds. However, Ikori's moving bars was a lot faster than mine. I was dusting everywhere. I was keeping up quite well in the beginning. I even wall kicked first, but then I started to fall behind. He side flips so much sooner than I do before the triple jump. Same thing again afterwards actually. Once we get up from the ledge grab, Ikori is a lot quicker on the inputs. And the ending is just insane. His dive speed after the wall kick is so high. I think he dived sooner than I did and that's how he got all that speed. And yeah, I have 10 million dust frames, it's not beautiful. Hardest star in TTC to be honest. I struggled a lot to improve on this star. I ended up losing 1.2 seconds just to really bad and dusty movement. I think you can see how crucial SM64's movement can be, like losing your speed because you missed an input by a couple of frames, got a worse rollout, a little bit of dust, and that way you can't even keep your speed into the next move as well. And after that it's honestly not looking good for me. But believe it or not, the flashy, fast moving reds that Zaya and Ikori did is actually slower than the one I did, by around 0.4 seconds. On top of that, Ikori didn't get an optimal ending as well, so I saved over a second here. Unfortunately, this only counts for my timing method. As I mentioned earlier, stage RTA is timed a bit different. You end time on star grab on the last star, and since this is the last star for both of us, my time save is a little bit less. It's 0.7 seconds instead. On top of that, Ikori also saved on time on the re-entries. I really need to work on my star selects, dude. But it doesn't matter. I mean, I got the Recce with some pretty epic movement, right? I played good at some stars, but not really all of them. Like moving bars. Honestly, my TTC is still really improvable. I even thought that when I got the run back in May as well. It's kinda cool though. Some of the strats I pulled off in that TTC, like during 100 coins or moving reds, I couldn't do for over a year. Just nailing it in practice and nailing it in a run just is so different, man. But yeah, it happened. I got a world record without really knowing. Big shoutouts to Kaiman for retiming. Without him, this video would not exist, so thank you, Kaiman. Thank you for the clickbait. Thank you for all the subs. I hope everyone subscribes to my channel. Thank you so much. I hope you all enjoyed this little analysis, and all that's left to show is my TTC Stage RTA world record. With reaction and stuff. Enjoy! Fuck. Yo, Lisa. Thanks for the raid. Ooh, so oh, okay. I thought the beginning was really sloppy, but hello. There's a gold. Yo, statue. Thank you, man. Thank you for the resub. We'll see after this run. Not too sure.
I wonder if this could be the 3-minute 40x TDC that I've been wanting for a long time now. Holy fuck, this CDC was really fucking good. 347. Holy fuck, 347 TDC. That is so insanely good. I can't believe I actually did that in a run. Alright. Yo, Josh, thank you for the sub, man.